Hi everyone, it's Dr. Jennifer Lavin from Mindful Matters Wellness. If you were keeping an eye out for our post earlier, we said we were going to give a video and blog post on running poses that'll help you, running stretches that'll help you within your yoga practice. So the first pose out of the 7 that we're going over today will be downward dog. I'm going to have my lovely assistant Kimberly here helping. Kimberly, if you can go ahead and place your hands forward on the front of the mat, come into a tabletop position. Go ahead and tuck your toes and raise your hips up towards the ceiling. Downward dog position, I've gotten asked, why do you cue bending your knees and keeping your heels raised? A lot of the times people are so focused on the hamstring length of the downward dog. However, when you're running, a lot of that pressure comes through your spine of that up and down repetitive motion. So we want to get a nice elongated spine here. Allow gravity to take from the top and pull us down and get some space in between all of those vertebrae. At the same time, we're sinking into our heels and getting that stretch into the soleus, which is one of our primary movers of our ankle, which is really used a lot within our running practice. Next pose going into, Kim, you can go ahead and drop your knees, come into tabletop, is going to be a runner's lunge. So bringing your left leg forward, so your foot's going to come forward. You can start by a modified runner's lunge, keeping your knee down onto the ground. Here you really want to focus on trying to stretch out the front of your thigh, your back thigh. You can also modify this and make a little bit more of a challenge and go ahead and tuck your back toes, lift up your knee, and then you're going to rise up coming into a bit of a crescent lunge using that core strength. Big thing here is making sure that you're tucking that pelvis underneath. Our hip flexor does have a bit of a rotation component within the muscle, so we really want to make sure that that muscle is strengthened as well as lengthened at the same time to help benefit our running. Go ahead and place your hands back down onto the mat. Kim, drop your back knee. Shift your weight onto your right back knee, and you're going to start to straighten out to the front left leg. Coming into our next pose, half monkey. This one is going to be for those hamstring, that hamstring stretch that a lot of us feel tight on after those long runs in particular. Focus here though is keeping your back straight. You really don't want to round your back, feeding into that kind of like poor posture, rounded posture. This is going to keep, again, that space within the spine, and again, focusing on the pelvis and the length coming from the pelvis down through the knee, and then also working a bit into that sciatic nerve. Kim, if you want to go ahead and pump that toe, point and flex the foot, that's also going to work a little bit of a nerve glide going in, which can help any of that soreness that comes on into the back of the legs. Go ahead and shift your weight. You're going to come up and tuck that back toe, lift up, turn that back foot out, straighten your front leg, place your hand, your left hand onto the mat, coming into triangle. This is going to be really great for opening up the inner parts of the thigh, and as well getting a bit of that twist coming into the spine. So as we have that compression coming through as we're running, sometimes having a gentle twist is a really nice feeling to relax the low back, mid back, and then also get some nice stretch and length into the collarbones. Go ahead and place your hands back down onto the ground. Step your right foot forward to the top of the mat. Inhale your arms up overhead. Hands to heart center. Taking your weight into your left foot, go ahead and lift up your right foot, grab it with your right hand. We're going into dancer's pose, raising your left hand up overhead. Now, this pose can get even more challenging with different modifications for balance, but what I want to focus on here for dancers is actually the length into the front of that hip, again, that hip flexor. So if Kimberly starts pushing her foot into her hand, keeping her knees close together, she's going to get that really good front stretch into the front of the thigh. Go ahead and release your leg. Come on down. Go ahead and inhale, reach your hands up overhead. Exhale, dive forward. Go ahead and step both feet back, coming into a plank. Drop your knees, lower down to the earth. The next pose that we're gonna go over is bow pose. So now a lot of people overstretch into their back, but when you're coming after a long run, you really wanna, again, focus on those hip flexors. We're really using that to propel ourselves forward as well as our hamstrings, so we really want to stretch out the front and back of our thighs. So go ahead and bend just one foot first, so right or left, whichever way, reaching your hand back. So same as we did in dancer pose, I want you to kick that foot into the hand and then trying to lift the thigh up off of the mat. This is a half bow. You can go ahead and relax and go ahead and grab both feet this time. And you can go into a full bow. Again, the point here is to try to push the feet into the hands, lifting both thighs up off of the mat. Go ahead and relax. And then I'm gonna have you push back into a child's pose quickly. Tuck your heel, or tuck your toes. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Inhale your left leg up towards the sky. Exhale, bring it forward to the front of the mat. We're going to come into pigeon. So placing your shin up closer towards the top of the mat. Sinking in here, a lot of people really want to dump in and they'll sink over onto like thinking, oh, I'm going to come over onto the side, really stretch out the front of the thigh that's long. We actually want to shift the weight a little bit more onto the thigh that is bent, really coming in and working that external rotation within the thigh, working that piriformis muscle. That's our primary focus here in pigeon. If you need to keep your hands up for a little bit more support, or like Kim can, bending forward, resting into the pose, holding for a little bit longer, really relaxing those deep hip flexors that we utilize. And go ahead and step, walk your hands back up, tuck that toe, come into downward dog. I'm gonna have you walk your feet to the center of the mat, and then walk your hands towards your feet, keeping your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Go ahead and drop down into a squat, placing your elbows into the inner parts of your thighs. This is a yoga squat or Garland pose. This is gonna be really great after those long runs because you're working in on control of the hip flexors, as well as opening up the groin, and then working again that soleus muscle, working the feet. So this is a really nice pose. This is a bonus pose. I know we said we're going over 7, but you guys get 8 great poses for after long runs. All of these yoga poses will be fantastic to do after long runs, to stretch out, make sure you guys can continue on with the rest of your day and enjoying time with your friends, family, or in this case, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Thank you guys for watching, and keep posted for more videos. Have a great night.